Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Jonah and the Pod. Today, I have a guest that is very interesting. Probably the person that I dislike the most at times. Probably the person I love the most at times, both unhealthy amounts. Someone that drives me crazy, but also someone that I guess I pray for the most. Someone that honestly, this podcast probably wouldn't have been a thing without this person. So please, everyone, welcome my good friend, Jonah. Thank you for that lovely intro, Jonah. Hello, all that are watching. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the mean words. Thank you for all the words that you have said. I appreciate it. Today's going to be a bit of a different episode. Today, myself and I are going to be doing a Q&A style. So if you've realized, there's been a few posts on Instagram, or I've probably messaged you or whatever asking for questions. So these questions are from you and me, and my very special guest is going to answer them today, hopefully in a good way. Most likely not in a good way, because look at him. So we'll get to the first question. This is a good one. I'll start off with this. All right. So, Jonah, what do you expect, or what do you look for in a friendship? That's a very good question. Whoever asked that, very good. What do I look in a friendship? What do I look for in a friendship? To be honest, every friendship that I've had, it's not like I was just looking for a friendship. If you guys know me, it's always been friendships has always been like an issue of mine. Like, not always, but in school it felt like I don't know, I liked friends, or I've had a lot of friend issues in the past. So what I look for in a friend is very interesting. Honestly, I think it comes down to, can this person benefit from my friendship? And usually that is, it's so tough. It's a very good question. I think there are a few ways to break this down. Okay, so you may have heard me say this before, but there are a few ways. So in my head, there's like three different groups of friends. There's the entertainment friends, which you have usually they're probably like school friends or work friends, where you just sort of have fun with them, you joke around, you do all that kind of stuff. And then there's just like friends that all you do is just have like deep conversations. All you do is talk about deep conversations, pray for each other, do all that kind of stuff. And then there's a third group of friends where it's entertainment end group. So you hang out with them, but also you have those conversations, those needed conversations. Those are the ones I think that will stick, like the Bible talks about, of will stick closer than a brother. So if you're talking about that, I think just someone with similar interests, someone with similar goals, same mind, that will sort of spur you on, lead you to be better, to be greater. I think that's pretty much it. But I think my whole life, friendships have been a weird thing. I've always had friends, but it felt like it was more so a one-way thing, possibly. And I don't really mind that, to be honest, because I had a pretty sound life when I was growing up, so it wasn't the worst. I sort of, I liked the fact that I was able to be friends to probably people that needed a friend. But I was definitely used and abused at that time. But again, I wouldn't change it for the world. So sorry for the long answer, but that's pretty much it. Honestly, that was like a fantastic answer. I probably would answer that probably the same way. So that's really good. I talk enough on this podcast, so maybe we'll just move on. I won't answer the question. None of these questions I'll answer. So, all right. Next question. This is another interesting one. Have you ever been rebuked and later thought it wasn't a good or substantiated rebuke? So have you ever been rebuked and then later on just like, I fully disagree with that person. I don't think the rebuke is anything like worthwhile. Wow, that's a very good question. Substantiated is a mental word. This I definitely have been rebuked in my time. I think every rebuke, whether it's right or wrong, it's always like a positive thing. It always makes me think. Um, I've definitely been sort of rebuked. I've made people upset for reasons that I fully disagree with, and I still disagree with to this day. Some things have made me upset because it's like I've tried my hardest to do my best. Like I'm still, you know what I mean? Like someone like me, I will try my hardest not to do what is wrong. To people, I know to God it's a different scenario because I'm still very sinful and all that kind of stuff. But I think because of my people pleaser mindset towards people, it's like, okay, I'm always going to try to do the right things by people. So I have been rebuked for certain things, and it's hard for me when I do get rebuked sometimes when it's unjustified. And there have been moments, obviously I'm not going to share specific moments. There have been moments, but it also makes me think, like, how can I sort of approach that situation better? So I would never say, I would say it's unjustified, but it's always helped in a way. Saying that don't come to me and just rebuke me for no reason because it's unnecessary. Yeah, I think I remember you telling me actually about that time that person said that. Like I think I know what you're talking about, and yeah, it makes sense. This is so weird. The next question, I guess. These are tough ones. Now they're all just like delving into the place of weirdness. What are your thoughts on Calvinism? The big Calvinism. What are your thoughts on it? Oh wow. Okay, so you are asking the questions. What are my thoughts on Calvinism? I think I have an unhealthy mindset, but I also think a lot of other people have an unhealthy mindset, but on a different perspective. To be honest, I'm somewhere in the middle of Calvinism and Arminianism, whatever you call it. I don't know what you'd call me, just floating in the middle. I believe that God is sovereign, but we do have free will. I don't see a world or I don't see in the Bible where like I don't know, the whole like us sinning, that's us being outside of God's will, my opinion. And I don't think God wants us outside of his own will. So that sort of means that we have to have some sort of free will. But I will say the discussions, I'm so over them. I'm so it's not healthy, but I've just seen a lot of just conversations that aren't necessary that I've seen people being so consumed by it that I really just don't like it anymore. Again, I don't have the healthiest view on it, but also I'd rather have this view than be so consumed by it at the same time. Yeah, I know this is probably not the answer that you wanted, but it's the answer I'm going to give. So, yeah, look, I don't totally agree fully, but I get what you're saying. I get where you're coming from. Yeah. All right. So what are your thoughts on... I assume this is a bit obvious, but they've asked the question, what are your thoughts on LGBTQ? So all the gays and all that kind of stuff. What's your thoughts on it? I think this is fairly obvious where I stand, but I'm gonna twist it a little bit. Obviously, I think it's a sin. All the LGBTQ, whatever it is, I think it's sinful, obviously, because the Bible is very clear on it. But I think as Christians, we are so much quicker to condemn people that are homosexual or are gay or whatever, much quicker than we are to condemn everyone else in the church when everyone else is a sinner. Everyone else has lust in their heart, or I'm just generalizing, but a lot of people have lust in their heart. Everyone lies, everyone steals. So why are we so much quicker to condemn the LGBTQ and not condemn the people in the church that are sinful? I'm not saying we should condemn. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying we shouldn't condemn the people, but we should actually have loving arms to them. Because if you look at Christ and the example of Christ, is the people that were in the church that he was very harsh to. Here, the people, the Pharisees that knew the most, and that would probably look at the gays and be like, "Wow, you're going to hell." He was actually the most harsh with them. But if you look at the way he was with, let's say, like a prostitute, he was actually very caring of them. The way he acted was very different. He still hates the sin of I don't know, sexual immorality, which I think LGBTQ goes down. He hates the sin, but the way he treated the people is very different. He treated a prostitute with loving arms, and that's what changed their life. And he changed, like with the Pharisees, what he did was very, he used harsh words, the correct words, but harsh words with them. So I think we get all twisted because we use harsh words with those people that don't really understand what they're doing. And maybe we use kinder words for those that are very knowledgeable but still living in sin. So it's a difficult question. I mean, it's an easy question, but the way I approach it, I think, might be difficult for a lot of people, because it's easy to look at someone that is gay because it's so outward, and it's easy to judge them and condemn them. But then if someone looks at me, I would, obviously I don't want them to be that, condemn me the same, but the Bible is very clear, show no partiality. And I think that talks about the poor and the rich and whatnot, but I think it's probably talking about people that are going through the same thing. If a gay person walks through my church, I don't want them to feel like they're not welcome. We're not gonna change the scripture for him. We're not gonna change the the words that we say, but we should be welcoming rather than condemning. And I think a lot of people know that, but I think a lot of people don't act like that. So yeah, that's my long answer, I guess, for that. I can speak longer on it, but yeah, that's my answer. I like the angle that you approached that in. It's a pretty cool angle. I just expected you to say, like, obviously disagree with it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I like that. This is an interesting one. I say that for all of them. Do babies go to heaven? This is a pretty good question. Actually, that's a lie. I don't know. It's an interesting question. I say that for all of them. Do babies go to heaven? I don't have the answer. That's the truth. Would I think so? Probably, yeah. Because God is just. And I think that is probably the just thing to do. But at the end of the day, I'm not the judge, and I'm not just. I try to be, but like when it comes down to it, probably not just. I have a bias. But God is just, and I know that I think Calvinists sort of lean towards that way, of that they don't. I'm not sure, actually. I don't know what they believe, but I would say, yeah, probably. It's hard for me to say that someone innocent like that. I know they're born into sin, but someone innocent wouldn't. It's a very tough question. To be honest, I don't have the answer. Yeah, I think it's not my choosing or choice to do, and I'm so glad it isn't. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's not in our jurisdiction. Anyway, I don't think it's up to us. But I would assume the same as well. The next one is: do Jews go to heaven? What do you think? do Jews go to heaven? I mean, if they love Christ, if they think that Jesus died for their sins and they accepted him into their lives, then yeah, for sure. But I don't think that's what the question is saying. Again, I'm not sure. I'm not extremely well versed in the Bible. Are they still God's chosen people? I assume is the question. I actually have no idea. I'm sure some people can give you the longer and better answer. But my answer is if they love Jesus Christ, then yeah, they will. If they don't, then I would assume not. But then again, I'm not too sure because yeah, I'm not very knowledgeable on that again, and it's up to God what's going to happen to them. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts on secular music? That's a heated one. What are my thoughts on secular music? I think I've spoken about this on the podcast. I mean, you've spoken about this on the podcast before. I think the closer you are to God, the less likely you are to listen to other things apart from Christian things. Saying that, Christian music, if we're being honest, can become very stale and boring. I'm not a big music guy myself. I listen to podcasts, funnily enough, and like stuff like that. But even I listen to like secular podcasts. I listen to podcasts about football. I listen to podcasts about, I don't know, YouTube is just waffling. I do listen to some Christian podcasts, but honestly, it's pretty hard to find. That's why you should subscribe to Jonah And The Pod, because it's a good Christian podcast. Anyway, I don't know how I got there, but secular music, I listen to like Adele, and I have no issues with it. I think the closer I get to God, probably less likely I am to listen to secular music. But again, like Adele doesn't swear; she doesn't talk about vulgar things in her songs. I'm just using Adele example, but like whoever it is, it just seems to be okay. But I assume that the closer I get to Christ, the less likely I actually will be listening to secular music or songs, or obviously, or podcast or whatever it is. So that's my answer. I don't want to this is genuinely my answer. I'm not trying to beat around the bush. Like my genuine answers are these. So, and I think this episode is going to be a bit shorter, but for my final question, what do we think? What do you think on dating in the church? Do you think it's a healthy thing? Do you think it's unhealthy? Is there a right way to do it? Is there a wrong way to do it? I would love your perspective on it, I guess. So what do you think about it? Okay, so if you're trying to get me cancelled or something, what are my thoughts on dating in the church? Dating in the church is very sticky because you're in a church that's your family. It's gonna sound weird, but it is your brothers and your sisters, and you should be as close as like you are one body sort of thing. So you should be that close. So it's hard for me to say like church dating is bad or good. I think church dating is fine, but I think you have to be very wise. It's much more sticky and tricky than just dating in general, because you are around that person constantly, and they have friends, and they'll probably talk to their friends about it, and their friends will probably have a perception on you. That's why I think you have to be very wise on it. How you're going to approach the situation, if it does work out, if it doesn't work out. Is this person actually is someone actually that you're interested in, or is it just someone that has come to mind, and they sort of tick all the boxes, or are getting FOMO because other people are dating? Or honestly, like, you have to consider how would other people feel about this as well? And I think people will always say guard your hearts, which is biblical. And I agree with that, but I think you should also be guarding other people's hearts. So if I approach someone or maybe I'm leading someone on or whatever it is, I have to think to myself, the way that I'm acting towards them, the things that I'm saying to them, maybe I'm being a bit flirtatious, maybe whatever it is. Am I either leading them on and I'm not interested, or am I interested but have no intention? Or do I have an intention but I don't really know what I'm doing? I think there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of prayer is needed, and a lot of seeking wise counsel, seeking God's counsel. And I'll say this: be content in being single. I don't think there are many people called to singleness this day and age. But I think we need to be content in being single, because I don't think many people are being content. People say it, but people keep chasing relationships. Just don't stop chasing. But yeah, just be content. You should be able to live by yourself with God alone for the rest of your life. But I think God has other plans for each one of us. Because God sustains us, He fulfills us, and we shouldn't be looking to other people to fulfill us or to sustain us. And I think God uses people to also fulfill us and sustain us, but that's a whole different conversation. So yeah, I think different churches, different situations. Some people lack courage, some people lack wisdom. And it's hard to get a balance of that. But yeah, that's my answer for that question. Well, thank you, Jonah, for all your answers. I guess we'll wrap up here, but do you have any final words or anything you would like to say, or whatever it is? I think to end off, I'll say because you're the host, so you don't need to speak anymore. But I will say to the people that are watching, honestly, the podcast has been such a blessing recently. I don't even know where I'm coming at this. It's been a massive blessing. It's been, I think, 35 episodes now. No, 36. I think this one will be 36. This year we haven't missed a week, and I think the podcast have just been getting better and better. It's probably is a downfall, but I think it's been getting better and better. The receptiveness of people has been pretty cool. So thank you all. Honestly, subscribe. Just why not? We hit 100,000 subscribers. 100,000. Okay, my brain. We hit 100 subscribers, which is cute. It's kind of fun. Again, I don't really care too much about it. If people have been impacted by it, and by God's grace, people have told the host Jonah about it, and I think it's been a blessing. I think that's it. I'll give it to you. Thank you, guys. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you all for listening. I know it's a bit of a shorter episode, but I hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless. And April Fools. Yeah. And peace.